Hello, everybody out there, and welcome back to another Legends of Tomorrow episode review. This is for episode 3, Blood Ties, taking place right after last week's episode. Now, as always, non-spoiler, then we'll get into some spoilers. This episode, we have Kendra, who's on the brink of death, and it's up to Adam and Professor Stein to save her. We've got Captain Cold and Heatwave kind of coaxing Jax to take a shuttle, which is connected to Wave Rider, on a little bit of a joyride to go steal an emerald, and there's a reason behind stealing this emerald from Central City. And then you've got Rip with White Canary. Rip wants to finish Vandal Savage once and for all, and he's trying to figure out a way to stop him in 1975 because they can't make the jump because Kendra is not well and she won't survive the time jump. So he tries to devise a plan, and I like how White Canary's like, you have no clue what to do you? You gave that big, because he gives a big speech at the beginning of the episode saying, we'll do it, da-da-da-da. But honestly, he's just trying to convince himself, and she gives him a couple of ideas on how to take Vandal Savage down without actually destroying him. If you destroy, and this was in the preview, so it's not really something I feel that is spoilerish, but basically she says if you take away his money and his he'll lose his power. That's where all of his power is in his wealth. You take that away, he'll be a nobody in the year 20 whatever when whatever happens, and it'll erase the future. We also find out that Rip did visit Vandal Savage way back before he gained his immortality to try to kill him. So we have all those little story arcs happening, and we get to see the team really developing as a team, which I really enjoyed. But this time, I feel like the tables flip-flop. Whereas in the first episode, it was kind of bringing the team together. Second episode, the team was against Rip. Now Rip, who just last episode got the team together, finally to follow his lead, now he wants to go off on his own because he feels responsible for what happened to Hawkman last episode. So he doesn't want anybody else's blood, basically, on his hands. So now Rip kind of goes against what he was saying with the team and wants to do something on his own. But thank God White Canary at least follows after him to make sure he, to back him up. All in all, this was a really great issue. Every time I talk about TV shows, I think about comic books. This is a really great episode. The action in this episode was amazing. I really liked it. I gotta say, there was a really deep Captain Cold moment in this episode, and it definitely gives you the feels for Captain Cold a bit because he tried to do something to fix a certain situation. Unfortunately, time just has a way of making sure that events that happen, and unfortunately it didn't change anything, but at the same time he tried, which was really, I believe, a more of a noble act, kind of, to try to prevent something bad from happening. And what I'm really excited for is next episode 4, they do make the time jump to 1986, and for those of you that don't know, that's my birth year, so I'm really excited to see what they play off in 1986, because that's going to be really cool. And ironically, I think they picked that date on purpose because in 1986 is when DC Comics went through their first-ish heavy hard reboot right after Crisis on Infinite Earth, so I guess that's a pivotal year for DC Comics as well. I would definitely recommend Legends of Tomorrow. It's a mix between really great story, really great action, and you definitely will learn to hate Vandal Savage. That's my non-spoiler part of this review. If you haven't watched the episode yet and you don't want to be spoiled, I would recommend pausing this video, come back later after you watch the episode, and then let's see if we have the same thoughts on this episode. Anyway, the beginning of the episode was the best part, where Rip is talking about, I've seen Men of Steel die and I've seen Dark Knights fall, kind of hinting at Batman Superman story arc, the death of Superman and Nightfall for Batman, which was really cool. I like that, and I actually tweeted about that, and I should have put that in the non-spoiler part as well, because that's not really a spoiler. But anyway, it's up to Adam. It turns out that the dagger that stabbed Kendra, little fragments were stuck in her bloodstream and were I'm gonna attack this piece by piece, and then we'll end with the end of the episode. And they're slowly making their way to her heart. They make their way to her heart. She's dead, and that's it. So it's up to Adam, with the guidance of Professor Stein, to find those fragments in her bloodstream and destroy them before they reach her heart. And the first attempt, he kind of gets scared because his suit kind of starts to break down when he breaks the first fragment and he backs out. And there's a really great moment where Professor Stein lies and says, I know you because of I remember you, because he doesn't remember that Ray was a student of his way back when. And we also find out why Ray is the Atom and why he got shooken up. And basically we do get a little hint at Jean Loring, which was his fiance, and she died apparently during one of the story arcs in Green Arrow, which brought Atom into the picture, and it's the reason why he became the Atom, so that no matter what, he'd always be able to help. He would never be helpless again. He'd be able to help people. And of course, he goes back in, destroys all the fragments, and Kendra is going to be now okay. The Captain Cold story, he goes to steal that emerald from Central City because his father in the past attempts to do that, gets caught, spends 5 years in jail, comes out, and becomes a very abusive father to his kids and to his wife. So basically, he went and stole the emerald to give to his father, and he does get to see his father when he's young. He gives it to him and says, no matter what, here's what you're looking for. Never lay a hand on your kids or your wife, and we'll be good. He said, I would have killed you, but my sister's life depends on it. He's like, sister? And Captain Cold walks out. Later on in the episode, though, we find out that his father attempts to sell the emerald to a police officer and ends up going to jail and spending those 5 years in jail anyway. And unfortunately, it doesn't change Captain Cold's timeline. Everything stayed the same. While on Rip's front, now Rip, after this conversation with White Canary, they're trying to figure out where all of his money is so they can basically destroy it and basically knock Vandal Savage out of power. They go to this bank, which they believe, it's not a bank, it's more of a rich person's you have to have at least $10,000 worth of funds to even be a part of the society. And it turns out they're not really all that they seem. They're actual assassins. And thank God White Canary was trained by Ra's al Ghul, because he kind of trained her to see all of these things. And remember, she was brought back by the Lazarus Pit, and that is a pivotal, important point to remember, because it gives her a bloodlust now when she's fighting. And she almost kills the person that's the most important in the mission to find out about Vandal Savage's fortune and how to take it. And there's a wonderful conversation between her and Rip. I won't spoil that. You should see that. And then they go to this meeting, which apparently Vandal has Carter's body now, and and there's a reason for that. And now they want to basically get Carter's body back to give him a proper burial, and so that Vandal Savage can't mutilate or do whatever he wants to Carter's body. And it turns out that the immortality in Carter was not just in spirit, which gives Vandal Savage his immortality. His blood, spoiler alert, doesn't give immortality, but it allows anyone who drinks it, apparently, an extra 100 years of life. And we find out that his power is not in his fortune, but in his followers, because his followers, as long as they continue to follow him, are also immortal. So basically, his numbers are, as he says, legion. And that's probably what's going to lead to the fall of society years from now when Vandal Savage destroys the world. He's going to have a humongous group of people. So now they all know. And it turns out that thanks to Kendra, they find out that Carter needs help. And Captain Cold and Heatwave show up. Firestorm doesn't make an appearance in this. Jax is there, though, as himself. You got White Canary. Atom doesn't show up as well. He's still on the ship, but they end up getting out of there. Vandal Savage does escape, though, as well. And there was a moment in the beginning of the episode where, before Rip brought the team together, he attempted to kill, like I said, Vandal Savage for himself. And because he did that all the way at the beginning of Vandal's timeline, he gets a name for himself, and Vandal knows that he's coming again. So it's kind of like a legend that he passes down to all of his followers. So they know of Rip already. So that's kind of why they travel forward in time anyway, because Rip, spoiler, does end Vandal Savage, but he'll heal and he'll come back. And now Vandal Savage not only knows about Rip's wife and son, he knows their names. So now Rip hasn't even, it could even be his fault why what happened to his wife and child happened. So now he's really trying to make sure that Vandal Savage is taken down before we make it to the doomed future. And I did find out this past Tuesday during Frontline Live that this is only for the first season. Next season is going to be a completely different team, a completely different storyline. So obviously this is all going to be settled within this season, which I'm very happy with. I'm very excited to see where it goes. This has been great. There's really great action scenes, especially with White Canary. I love her action scenes like you wouldn't believe. There were really great moments in this episode. It was just really good. If you are not watching Legends of Tomorrow, you're missing out on a really great series. This is above Flash for me. I'm behind on Flash. I will catch up with Flash, but at the same time, I'm really enjoying Legends of Tomorrow the most. Caught it since episode 1, and I've been hooked ever since. And this episode proves it, and I'm more excited to see what they're going to do in 1986 now than what happened in 1975. And I wonder how many episodes are going to be in 1986. That's going to be interesting. So that's it for this review, guys. Go check out Legends of Tomorrow. It's a really great show. Links in the description below connect to a whole bunch of really awesome sites. Frontline, Frontline Gaming Zone, Zone 4, and Last Ember Press. Check them out in your spare time. There's also sites connected right here on Dark Avengers C86. And until next time, everybody, let me know what you thought of Legends of Tomorrow Episode 3 in the comments below. Are you guys enjoying it? Aren't you enjoying it? What do you think of the action? What do you think of the actors? Captain Cold had some really deep development in this episode. So what do you guys think about it? And until next time, everybody, take care, keep reading, keep collecting, and I will see you guys in the next video.